West, everybody. Hey. Okay, I saw a question over here and a question over there. Do you want to say some words before you take questions, or do you want to...
Shut up and take my questions.
I'll be right back with you. First hand was over here. He was so fast.
Yep. First of all, hi, Billy.
Hi.
My name's Jack.
Hi, Jack.
So I have a question. Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on celebrity voiceover in animated movies?
You really want to bring that mountain down on yourself?
I mean, I do, as long as I get...
We start with a softball. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. All I can tell you is the business that I'm in had a marvelous history.
Thank you.
Legacy. You know, people that came before me, all my heroes were like June Foray and Dawes Butler and Mel Blanc and Don Messick, et cetera, et cetera. And they used to hire people like us, like there'd be a bunch of producers and there'd be a bar of lead on the table. And they'd say, listen, we got a problem. We need you to turn this to gold, maybe if you could. You know, and you go, and you turn it to gold and you leave. That was your job. But now the celebrities come in and they walk by the bar of lead and it's like, where's my $20 million? In other words, there's no alchemy. Nothing changes. If you know, I wish I had the great and glorious privilege of doing every role as myself, you know, but I'm not Matthew McConaughey or, you know, or whoever the hot tamale of the month is doing cartoon voices. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I mean, it's like the enemy of art in a way. When you think about it, it's anti-art. You're only hiring somebody because they put asses in the seats, but as far as their talent doesn't match that. You know, and then someday, I know it's hard to believe, but there'll come a day when all these people that are so famous, people won't know who they are, and their anemic voices will be left for all time, you know, for you to listen to and go. So, yeah, you know, I could have gone crazy with that, but, you know.
Well, thanks, Andrew.
Oh, sure. How do you feel about it?
And, I mean, when you get someone like Mark Hamill or something...
Yes, that's different. Or Eddie Murphy, or God bless him, Robin Williams. Those people knew what it was like to transform into something else. They could be disembodied. They could leave themselves behind and change their voice and create a personality. Most of them, I mean, how would you know if it was Brad Pitt or my plumber, you know? They should have got him.
What?
She said Brad Pitt is your plumber.
Did I hear something? I thought so.
So we have a question over here.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a very personal question that I've been waiting to ask for a while. Have you ever whizzed on the electric fence?
Well, obviously you know the reference. It's from Ren and Stimpy. You know what? There were electric fences all over the place when I was a kid, and it never occurred to me to do that. We used to say, an electric fence. We used to start by throwing sticks at it. Nothing. Spit on it. Nothing. You know, what if I touch it? But it never occurred to me to... You know, you'd be electrocuted.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Am I crazy, or... The water is only the best, or urine is the best conductor of electricity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it just come up and bite you in the ass, you know?
I think the Mythbusters proved that one wrong.
You think what?
I'm pretty sure the Mythbusters proved it wrong at some point.
Oh, they did?
I think, yeah.
Mythbusters. Why didn't you have them come here? Any other myths?
Questions, anyone? All right, we have this.
Future projects?
Oh, well, there's
That you can talk about.
There's current projects that I'm back doing Futurama. Yay! Thank you. And it's like we never left, you know. just everybody just hopped back in the seat. And Katie came in, and she was all happy, and you know, and everybody's back, and the scripts are really, really funny, and it was my favorite thing that I ever did, you know, because of the writing. They just had the writers just were so clever. Even the stupidest little stuff used to crack me up, like somebody said, "Hey, Fry, I heard beer makes you stupid." He goes, "No, it doesn't." And I said to the director, David Cohen, I said, "David, no, it doesn't." He goes, "Please read it as written." And he sounds just like that. And I said, "Okay, but I'll be back for the $700 idiot fee, you know, fix-it fee, or whatever you want to call it." And then I saw it on television, and it was the best acting I ever did, because I didn't know what I was saying, and Fry never knows what he's saying. So it was so truthful and authentic. It was high art.
So how many times was Futurama canceled?
God, I think 3 times.
I'm going to switch mics for you because
Oh, yeah?
this one isn't picking up very well. Because I figure you know how to use a mic, right? You've used one before.
Unless it's impotent. That's okay. That's okay.
All right.
Even if they didn't have any, I would have just, you know, sat here. I would have sat with you guys and just talked
Let's
to
see
you.
if we get someone else first. Oh, wait, you didn't ask. You asked. You asked the whizzing question. This is the Wizard's friend here.
Yes. So I believe that Ren and Stimpy was cut a little bit short. It didn't last for too long. So what was your experience like with working everybody? Because I have heard that there was some negative energy towards the very end before that it had stopped. So what was your experience? What was your opinion on whatever was going on at the time?
The negative energy was on the front end of it, not on the tail end of it, and it did last for 4 seasons, believe it or not, 4 years or so. I was working for Nickelodeon, and I was doing that show. It's all psychotic, as well you know.
Hey, Ren, will you button me? Will you shut up, you fool? You cretin! I shall kill you! You idiot! You!
Yeah, and then there was on Nickelodeon. I got hired to do Doug. There was no friction with that show. It was very sweet, and you can just imagine behind the scenes it's just as sweet as the show was. Ren and Stimpy was hellish, you know.
I believe it.
Yeah, well, you know what it was though? You had a lot of freewheeling, super creative artists, and they're very, very passionate, and sometimes passion can upend your manners, for lack of a better word. But I did Doug too at the same time, and that was a really sweet show. Except they're 25 years older now, so it's
Dear Journal, today I blew up a courthouse.
it is America, 2022, and and then he's in court, and it's Judge Roger Klotz.
Order in this court! Oh, look who it is. It's funny, you loser. I knew I was gonna see you someday. Guilty, guilty, guilty. It's written all over your face. It's even spelled wrong. 2,000 years in jail, funny. 2,000 years. Oh, no.
Well, he only lived about 14 years. No, they stuffed him. He's on at Nickelodeon headquarters.
And we have a question over here.
Hi.
Making me get my steps in.
Hi, I'm actually a big fan. I've watched most of your shows.
Thank you.
Except for Ren and Stimpy. But on the topic of Ren and Stimpy, do you remember that scene where he got so mad at the other two idiots?
Yes.
Was that really disturbing to you?
The whole show was disturbing. It wasn't a It wasn't a cartoon. It was a cry for help. When I think about it, you know, it's always this dysfunctional hell dad. You know, like especially kids that grew up in a very terrible system, which I did, and it did unnerve me because every psychotic thing reminded me of my father, who was actually psychotic and a drunk and a crazy, and you know, he was rough on me. You know, they didn't have words for it back then, but I was on the autism spectrum, and he just thought I was stupid, and I couldn't tie my shoe. I'd struggle. I couldn't buckle a seatbelt. You know, it would go in the other space rather than the one that I'm trying to aim for, and I couldn't get my mind around stuff. And I said, "What's the matter with me?" And I couldn't. No matter how many times you showed me how to tie a necktie, I couldn't tie it. But ask me to do a Fran Drescher impression. Mr. Panther. No, that's autism. You know? It's like the rewards of a misspent autistic youth. Yes, you again.
Well, actually, we have one over here. Then
Yeah.
I'll get down there.
Yes? You... Oh, he had a speaking role. Oh, in Animaniacs?
No, it's not seriously. It's the Animaniacs reboot in the dark, the Cheers parody. Larry got a non-speaking.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know about that.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I didn't do it and I didn't get paid. If I did it and didn't get paid, I would have been bitching. How do you know that? You zero in on stuff, don't you? You know what? I have a theory. I don't know if I should say it, but I will anyway. I have a theory about autism. Is that the rates of autistic births are climbing and climbing, and no one seems to know why. And some people say it's because carbon dioxide is excessive, you know, in today's world, and it's affecting expectant mothers. That's one theory. But I think because everybody is snapping and wound tight, and full-grown adults acting like imbecilic children, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with people that just decide to walk in a church and start shooting people. I mean, that's just like unheard of. And now it's like every other day. So Mother Nature ain't going to look the other way when the human condition is effed up. It's got to intervene. It always has. Whenever we were genetically wrong, nature wants to make a correction. And I think that's what autism is. I think it's nature actually making a correction. I think it's evolution. I think it is. Only because you know, all the autistic people that I've ever met are sensitive. They're thinkers. And that's annoying. What is that? Yeah? No, you know what? You know what it sounded like? It sounded like Yeah, that's pornographic. Never mind. Never mind. That's not where I'm at. That ain't my part of town.
So we were talking about Doug a couple minutes ago.
Yes, sir.
I thought Nickelodeon had the worthwhile watching version, and then a couple years ago they rebooted it with Disney, which I thought was the poopy version personally.
Yeah.
Why weren't you invited for the Disney one? Like I know that you voice acted the Nick one, but not the Disney one, right?
Well, I was, but I couldn't do business with Disney. No, they wanted me to do more stuff for less money, and I said, I wish you nothing but the best. You know, I was a gentleman about it.
They're the Walmart of the, streaming services. I actually have a question for you. What is your process? You're asked to create a new character.
Yes.
What do you look at first? Is it appearance? Is it the script? Is it, some kind of bio? What is your process when you're deciding on how to portray and voice a particular character?
It comes from experience mostly. because I was in radio many years ago. I started in radio in Boston in 1980, and I just left the band business. I played music for a living, and they took away my spandex license in 1978. So I had to figure out what to do, and I went to the comedy clubs, and I didn't know you had to have an act. I just throw shit against the wall in front of a live audience, and sometimes it would be brilliant. And the next night it would go to hell in a twisted metal fireball. I said, what happened? You can't replicate the resonance from one evening in one crowd to the next night and another crowd. It just doesn't work. That's why you have to have an act. So I didn't know that. But I got into radio around that time, which was great because I began to learn what sounds good to people, like what people are attracted to, what kind of sounds, what kind of characters, what manners of speaking, what attracts the ears of a listener, and you begin to learn what works. And when they show me a picture like with Futurama, they showed me pictures of the character, and somebody like Zoidberg, he's portly, and he has all this cool meat hanging off his face, and I figured, well, his speech would probably be impaired to some degree, and I thought about these two actors that I was familiar with. One was from vaudeville was before television was invented, and there was like 12 acts, and people would go to the theater for the entire day and sit and watch jugglers and dancers and comedians, and it was like a big variety show. And then it would start all over again in the evening. People always had somewhere to go and something to do, and then watch movies, but there was no TV. So there was a guy in vaudeville. He was a master of ceremonies, and his name was George Jessel, and he was kind of funny. He would say, "Good evening, ladies and germs." For some reason, people back then thought that was funny. But no, but he would say, the definition of a smartass? A fellow that can sit on an ice cream cone and tell you what flavor it is. And so he had this like marble mouth. And then there was another actor named Lou Jacoby, and he was from Yiddish theater. But anyway, he was in the movie Arthur. And he's the guy that leaned into Dudley Moore and goes, "What's it like to have all that money?" It doesn't suck. And so those two guys got cold fused or super collided or whatever you want to call it, and became Zoidberg. Your music is bad, and you should feel bad. He had and all this, and everything I ever did, pretty much, I always put the Three Stooges into it. If like a character is sleeping, it's like, or I have like, it always pops up in everything I do. It's my own tribute to them. And Zoidberg, he was just such a good character, and I always, what's the funniest thing about him? They said, what do you find really funny about him? I said, that he's a doctor and he's poor. If that doesn't say loser, nothing does. I never met a poor doctor in my life.
Oh, that's awesome. So you steal a lot of voices. That's great.
That's not what they call it where I come from.
Well, whatever helps us sleep at night. Anyone? Let's get this turtle fan over here.
So, in some episodes of Futurama, sometimes I feel like they try to like, I feel like in some episodes of Futurama, they try to like come up with a problem that could be easily solved. Like there was one episode of the last season where the professor created a brain switching device, and for some reason brains couldn't switch back, and it just seemed, I don't know, like I couldn't understand, and like why, like I couldn't understand like what the point was of that. Like, it just seemed like they were just kind of trying to come up with.
Because there would be no episode.
Yeah.
Unless there was some stupid problem.
Yeah.
You have to have some conflict, whether it's stupid or whether it's brilliant. I mean, that's how writing works.
Yeah. Plus, with science fiction, sometimes it feels like it's really hard to imagine, like, what if that, like, you really got to stop and think about, what if something like that happened? And it's
they can explain a lot of stuff. I mean, for a cartoon show, the math is, it's pretty on the money. They have math professors double check their work. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't think too much about it.
Yeah.
You'll burn up like a cinder.
What's it like to actually come following the steps of Mel Blanc?
What did he say?
Was it like following the footsteps of Mel Blanc in Money?
Oh, that was pretty daunting because nobody could do what he did. You know what I mean? It's like it takes an army of us guys to try and replicate that work. He was the best, and he lit the way for just about everybody that I know. It was. I do know that when I was recording it, and Ivan Reitman was directing me, like some schmo would just come by and open the door and go, "He's too cute. You got to toughen him up, you know." Oh, okay. You know, and then some other imbecile would open the door and go, he sounds too Jewish, you know. Oh, what is that, you know? And then there was a third, and I finally went, shut up, you know. And
I got to work with Michael Jordan. That's what counted, Doc.
Yeah. But that was like, you know, it was my assignment. But it lasted about 10 years. But I never felt like I based any of my identity on the fact that I did that. That was something that was created by somebody else. The stuff that's important is the stuff that they ask you to create for a special project. And it's tough because here's this whole contingent of people, creatives and brilliant people, all got together and put this idea together with characters. And then when it's all done, they bring it to you and go, what would you do? Oh, no pressure, you know.
We have a question from the wizard over here.
Yes, wizard.
Okay, so, do you know any Eminem songs?
Do I?
Because I love to hear the Red Eminem singing an Eminem song.
Oh, you mean the red M&M candy is supposed to sing 7 Mile Road or some shit like that?
Yes.
That's very funny. No, it is. It's very funny. I wouldn't do it, but it's a great premise. Why don't you do it? Go on YouTube and do it. All I know how to say is, have you ever eaten me?
Give enough money, he might do it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for being here and for answering all these questions and for your work. You talking about all the influences you have. I remember reading that you decided to kind of make Fry's voice kind of closer to your own.
Yes.
And I'm curious if that made that character more personal for you.
It was a sound that worked. I wasn't sure how it was going to go over, but I just said to myself, I'm doing all these over-the-top kind of voices like the professor, you know, he was a collection of doddering old wizards and magicians and mad scientists, and he was rickety because he was 147 years old, and I said, geez, he must fart dust, you know, like a mummy. Oh, you know. I don't want to live on this planet anymore. You know, and so that kind of thing just kind of came to me. Zapp Brannigan, I worked in radio, and he was based on a bunch of these big dumb announcers that I remember from radio. The guys that loved the sound of their own voice far and away above anything else in this world. And they carried their balls in a wheelbarrow. And they were treated so importantly because they had a big dumb voice. Meanwhile, none of them had a brain in their head. You know, couldn't say anything unless there was an item in front of them, you know, like Paul Harvey. Friends, you know what you and I need? Really need? A good cup of coffee. You know, and he'd be reading the commercial. He was interesting, but I remember all these other big dumb announcers would go, well, it's 5 minutes past the big hour, 5 o'clock. You know, and they had that hamburger helper of words, you know. People who do that, that's a mark of somebody with nothing to say. When they, like Jeannie Pirro on Fox, don't come to me and say, oh, I don't know. You know, that's a mark of somebody with nothing to say. And so Zapp Brannigan was like, Kiff, inform the men. I made it with a woman. You know, trying to make every little thing sound more important than it is. Yeah, so Fry was like, when I was 25, I remember exactly what I sounded like. I was all whiny and nasally and complainy. I played in bands, and if I broke a string, oh man, oh shit, I broke a string. Now what am I going to do? You know, and I'd be like, the amp blew up. We don't have roadies. Jesus Christ. And so I thought, you know, that's what he should be. Because I knew that, like, impressionists can pick up on exaggerations and voices that are exaggerated, but nobody can do somebody else's real voice. I mean, for real, unless it's pronounced or it's a, you know, thing. But yeah, and I wanted him to be a project for Leela. I thought long and hard about him. She's really strong and a leader, you know, and he's kind of needy. But she loves him because he's got a good heart. She sees him and gets him. And I'm sure he feels the same way about her. But I wanted him to be a project for her, like I was when I was a teenager or 25 years old. I was always like, you know, what's the matter? Why you wear shirts like this? Why don't you fix your hair? You know, I was always being fussed with, and what's the matter with you? And I was a project that needed work, always.
Okay, more questions.
Yeah.
I saw a hand over here.
Fry as being more your natural voice.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of on the other end of the spectrum, what do you consider your most physically intense or grueling voice that you do? You may have answered my question when I heard you do Ren and Stimpy a moment ago. Ren seems pretty intense, but there may be something else you
Ren and Stimpy screaming was nothing compared to, I got hired by Fox once to do a Popeye program, you know, animated. And that was like, it's like imitating a buzzsaw. And when we were kids, we all used to do it, and we all sucked, and nobody could figure out, like, the right way to do it. It just sounded like, hey, you know. It's not right. And so one time, a friend of mine called me up and said, I want to go see this movie about a singer who goes over to a country called Tuva, and he wants to get involved with Tuvans, but they were cowboys. You know, it's over Mongolia, and it's a horse culture. They have, you know, horses and cowboys. And they sang, and Tuvans sing in this weird, you know, and they make whistles and noises, and it's crazy. And it blew my mind. And then I said, wait a minute, that sounds like a camp full of Popeyes or something. You know, and then I thought about it, and that's what was missing, is I could hear the high and the low voice, like, yoo-hoo, olive oil, I bring you some flowers. And then, yoo-hoo, olive oil, I bring you some flowers. And then if the two of them are an octave apart, yoo-hoo, olive oil, I bring you some flowers. That was hard. That was hard to do.
So, quick question for me. Of all the characters that you've portrayed,
yes,
which would you consider the best role model for people, and which would you consider the worst?
Role model?
Role model.
Yipes, I never even thought about it like that. I guess Fry is probably as pure as they come, you know, as far as like pure of heart and generosity of spirit. He has so many good qualities. You know, it might be nice if there were more Frys in the world. Bad role model, Zapp Brannigan. Because he's so deliciously stupid. Just deliciously stupid, you know. Leela, why don't you and I go knock some sensuous boots in the Lovenasium? You know, and he just thinks he's so cool, and he's so stupid.
I am so glad I did not cosplay him today. Any other questions?
Nice shirt.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just a question about that. Anything that you can share with us about the Ren and Stimpy reboot?
I can't because we haven't started recording it yet.
Oh,
they keep putting it off. I think it's because they don't know how to do it in today's day and age.
That's true.
You know, I mean, all you have to do is make a joke, and there's people coming in like horse flies, you know.
Probably won't be on Nickelodeon.
I'm really, like, offended. Why don't you just say you're 20, you know? How did you get so offended in 20 friggin' years?
Okay, I'm going to get him, then I'll come back to you.
What they don't know is when you grow up, is life has a way of knocking the piss out of you, and you don't have time to go, actually, you know, and give people a hard time over stuff that you don't personally like.
First, I'd like to thank you for being here. And
thank you.
Also, I'd like to make a comment. As we were first coming in, you were making remarks about how big Hollywood bigwigs come in and they just do their own voice and they don't change it.
Right.
And the comment is that, well, Ren and Stimpy, Fry, Dr. Zoidberg. If I was to be standing in the room and I heard all those characters talking, I would not zero those in to you, because each and every one of those voices are unique and sound different.
Well, thank you.
And that's my comment. My question is, have you ever sat somewhere with a friend and as people are walking by, you go, oh, look at this guy. This is what he sounds like. And make up voices for strangers?
I used to do that.
Nice. Okay.
I used to do it years and years ago when I'd be on the bus going to work.
Now, I know you've already heard my voice, but can you make up one for me?
I don't have to make up one for you. You kind of sound like this.
So did you
You
stop?
you have a lot of layers in there. You know what that gives you? That's what makes you you, is all that snot in your throat. Hey! You know, no, but I mean, I get it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding you. The thing about the voice stuff, though, is it was my job to do those things. You know, that's how I grew up learning. It's like you couldn't keep doing the same thing over and over again. You know, and the actors, you know, they just have it easy. You know, you make millions of dollars to just come in and be who and what you are. There's no art there, to me. But they do it. They do it because the bottom line is they think that the movie will make more money if there's a name, celebrities, and whatnot. And now they've gone to the point where if you have 5 million hits on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, movie company wants to use you in a cartoon as a voice. Doesn't matter what you sound like. They just are belt and suspenders. They want to have an instant audience. It's like an insurance policy. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. You know, does anybody even care about what something sounds like? No, we don't. You know, that's exactly what it, you know.
If I may, sir,
Yes?
like Sean Connery. He's a great actor, don't get me wrong.
Yes?
But he just sounds like that in every single one of his movies.
Right. I think he might have done a cartoon or two.
Did he sound like Sean Connery?
Probably. But he's Sean Connery. He's not friggin' Zendaya. Huh? Oh.
So we have a question over here.
Yes.
Have you ever looked at a line and tried not to laugh really hard before doing it?
Yes. Lots of times. Because it's just so funny, and I go and I see it coming, and I start like losing it, and I got to keep the lid on. You know, because you have to maintain character. You can't break character. But me and John DiMaggio, there's so much silliness going on between the two of us in between takes that one time he couldn't stop laughing, and they had to send him to the other side of the room, and he had to bury himself in the couch pillows because he was like, you know, he wouldn't. It was like, go stand in the corner. They made him go bury himself in pillows because he couldn't stop laughing. That's, oh God, I'll never forget that day. I was laughing so hard I almost threw up. That's how silly things get. Yes, sir.
Hi. So when he was talking about voices earlier, it made me remember something. You ever listen to a recording of yourself and think, I didn't don't remember it sounding like that when I said it, because like there's this like phenomenon where like when you hear yourself talking from the inside of your head, it like sounds lower. Like whenever I hear recorded myself, I sound so different. I'm like, who is this chipmunk sounding guy that's
right.
That's mimicking me?
I felt the same way. I thought I had the most plain ass vanilla voice, neutral, just neutral. It's like, and then what happened? If I talk and I say stuff, but I was in a neutral gear where I could go down the basement and up to the stratosphere, and I was very lucky. I had that flexibility. But I remember when I had my first tape recorder. It was a little reel-to-reel tape recorder, and I taped myself, and I went. I had the face of no brakes when I heard my voice. I was like, "What's wrong with you?" That can't be me. How can you trust a tape recorder? I was like making excuses, but I thought it was horrible. But the thing is you're just not used to hearing what you sound like to other people. Yeah, but that's a good question to think about.
We have a parent question over here.
Yeah, my question. He thinks I'm shy though. Yeah. So I have to be from Boston and old enough to remember you on the Big Mattress.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just curious if first of all, there hasn't been another radio show that I've heard like that. It was very entertaining. How about the cast, like Laquadera, those guys? Do you keep in touch with the folks from that show at all?
Charles moved to Hawaii.
I heard that, yeah.
He was the morning guy at this station. I started in radio in Boston in like 1979 or something. And the morning guy was Charles Laquadera, and he had me come in, and I used to do stuff, which you've heard. But he lives in Northern California now. He's still around. I got to go visit him. And Mark Perreno is dead. He's gone, and so is Tank.
I think Tank died
Yeah,
a couple
he died.
years ago, yeah.
Everybody's dying.
Yeah. Jeez,
I hope I go quietly in my sleep tonight. You know what? The worst part of turning 70 is not that I probably have 10 years left to live. It's that the day I retired, nobody had to go to work anymore. Everybody's just like, I can get more done at home.
Yeah, right. But I'll always remember the reporter that was on site. I don't know if you thought of this or not, but Peter Falk and Athol. Peter Falk and Athol. That was a very good play.
Do they know who Peter Falk is?
Maybe I'm dating myself.
He was Columbo, reruns.
And Athol's a town.
Yeah. He was a detective, and he's like, "Can I ask you where you bought those shoes, ma'am?"
But anyway, we just made up a bit out of a stupid one-liner. There's a town in Massachusetts called Athol, and so it says, stay tuned this weekend. Be sure to watch the special of Peter Falk in Athol. And, and he's going around saying how nice the town is and everything, and you're going, where is this going? And then at the end it says, be sure to watch Falk in Athol. That's a long way to go, man. But it was different times, as they say. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
So Futurama has a lot of iconic lines.
Yes.
I was hoping you could give us a preview of one of your favorites from the upcoming season.
Oh, you know what? I can't do that. I wish I could.
I thought it would end
I
like
wish
this.
I could, but they're just as funny. I mean, this last script that we just recorded was so funny. They have a couple of new writers, but they're with the spirit of the show, absolutely. I mean, it's just, you can tell when something's right and when it's not right. And these people are, they totally have the spirit of all the stuff that we did. And yeah. And there's David X. Cohen is still directing us. And yeah, it's just, it's so much fun. Yeah.
Are there lines from previous that are particular favorites that you like to break out at parties?
Let's see. Ow! You shot me in the sperm. Yeah, that's a party favorite, eh?
You can come to my party anytime.
Okay.
Okay, we have a question over here.
Hi, thanks for being here. Big fan. But I know we already touched on how celebrities are getting some voice acting roles and stuff. What would you suggest for kids who want to go into voice acting? Like,
There's lots of them.
Yes. How
And
would they
because-
break into it? Do they
because
even
they
have a
see
chance?
like Robbie Paulson, and they see Maurice LaMarche and Tress MacNeille and E.G. Daly, who happens to be here. She's up there and done so much stuff. How we got in was that there were no signposts when I started. It was just like they said, "How did you pick to do that?" And it wasn't like I ever picked it consciously. It's just something like that is a force that enters your life and it grabs you and pulls you with it. You know what I mean? You have to go where that leads you, and so that it wound up playing with musicians and singing and being on stage, and then I went into radio, and then I got into doing commercials and cartoons. But now the best thing to do is making a demo tape, you know, of stuff, of you reading stuff, acting stuff, playing a character, narration. There's nothing but info online, much more helpful to you than I could be, because I came from another world where, you know, nobody could tell you. They didn't even know what a voiceover was. What do you want to be? A voiceover. It's like trying to explain a desert to a polar bear. You know what I mean? Yeah. But online, there's just tons and tons of stuff, and who to send tapes to, and how to get recognized, and how to network. And some people put the cart way before the horse, though. They'll be like these little experts that, you know, then you got to network, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and then a week later she'll come on and go, "Congratulate me, I got my first voiceover job."
Okay. You guys have had a turn. I'll be with you. We're going to get this gentleman. Then I'll come back to you.
So you've been incredibly lucky, well, because you're so talented, to be with Maurice and Tress and all of them on Futurama and
Yes.
on Disenchantment.
Yes.
And then back on Futurama again.
Yes.
How is the atmosphere different when you're doing the two different shows? They're both funny, but they have very different styles to them.
Different styles. One's more dramatic, but I get to do my thing. I mean, that's why Matt called us. You know, he knew what we could do, and he said, I could throw characters at these guys, you know, and it'll be a jump ball, you know, like it usually is, but we'll divvy them up, and I think it's a great show. The fact that it's got drama, and it's totally different from The Simpsons and Futurama. So yeah, there's a little bit of a different atmosphere, but it's the same people. We all know each other so well. You know, we all like talk about something that happened, and you know, like riff on the news or whatever. Some of the best stuff happens.
Does it feel like you never really even stepped away, or
It does feel
or
like
does it have
that.
a very distinctly different?
It does feel like that, and I've gotten to the point in life where life appears to be more dear than it ever was to me. Not because I got older. It's because you wanna remember everything. Like I'll watch Mo while he's working, and I say, I'm gonna remember this moment for the rest of my life. You know, and then it dawns on me, you better start telling these people what you think of them. You know, and like, hey, that was great. Hey, this was great. No, I love you, and you're very important to me. I said that to E.G. Daly last night. Yeah. She thought it was sweet, but I said, I mean it. I mean it, you know. There are people in your life that you better get it in. Because, you know, years go by, and all of a sudden that person's not around anymore. So that's my big word of wisdom.
Okay, so who down here? We'll go with you first, because she already had two. Did you have a question?
I have a question.
I'm sorry. Do you want to make something up?
Yeah, I have a question.
He wants you to ask a question.
Yeah,
ask him
have a
any question you want.
Great idea. What was your mother's maiden name?
My mother's maiden name? Ugh.
It's the whiz friend again.
Yes.
Do you kiss with your eyes open or closed?
I'm the whiz person.
I know.
I'm your whiz friend. So I know that Futurama has like a ton of funny scenes, and it has like a lot of charisma. But I also know that there are like quite a few like heartfelt scenes, like really nice ones that really like really hit you in your heartstrings. Is that something that you think really like tells you like this job is worth it? Like this is what makes it worthwhile, is the heartfelt moments in these shows.
Yes, it just it shows off the craftsmanship involved, the artistry, the creativity, that somebody could make a cartoon that could evoke such feelings where you want to cry. I never ever heard of a cartoon, that could make you feel like that. And I knew the one you're talking about, I knew it was going to be sad because I read it and I recorded it. I just didn't know how sad it was going to be. And I watched it and I was like, I don't even have a dog. I grabbed the cat. Cat, don't go anywhere. Chummy the cat. Chummy. Yeah, Chummy, feed me. I was just trying to be nice, Chummy. I get all emotional. No, I mean, but the thing is, it strikes a note with everybody because we all know what it's like to bond with an animal, pretty much. And you got to say hello and goodbye to a lot of little friends, in your life. And you wish that they could live as long as us, at least. Not forever, but at least as long as us, and they don't. But they're just so special. And I wish I was half the man that stupid Chummy thinks I am.
That episode had me bawling for like a week.
Oh, I know.
We have a question over here.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for being here.
Oh, pleasure.
I had a question. Since you were so involved with Ren and Stimpy and Doug, which are the two of the three first Nickelodeon cartoons, could you shed a little light on the early Nickelodeon days for us?
The early Nickelodeon days. I have to tell you that I admired a woman named Jerry Laybourne who was running Nickelodeon, and she said, what can we do that the networks aren't doing? She wanted, they were going to have cartoons. And they said, well, why don't we show a cartoon animation block on Sunday mornings instead of Saturday mornings? Because that was cliche. And, it's like, there's so many blockheads in network programming that they might want, why do you want to do that? But it was little things that she changed that started to change the face of animation. Like that Nickelodeon block was real important. I mean, in the industry, suddenly Disney was freaking out. Like going, wait a minute, we're the kids, we're Disney, and it's like Nickelodeon has totally cannibalized their audience. So they were going to buy everything back a piece at a time. They spectrum analyzed Nickelodeon's success, and they were going to buy. That's why they got Doug, and they wanted to have that going on in their own auspices. But the early days there were they loved Ren and Stimpy until they came out of their coma and realized what was going on. I don't want to sound sexist, but it was pretty much women running Nickelodeon, so they were all busy looking for disparaging images towards women. Meanwhile, they missed all the gay stuff. They were so busy looking. Why does cleavage? Why? And instead they missed all the Chippendales dancers and the works and the little innuendos and that. But that's what made it cute, though, and it gave it life, But boy, when they realized that, they were like, we don't like this show anymore. It only delivered them Christmas, It delivered them so much revenue, and then they just decided, it's too adult. Easy cop out. But you can't argue with success. There was some thing that struck a nerve with most people, mostly college kids in the beginning. That's what I remember. I used to go to colleges, and I remember I'd just gotten married, and I lived in the Lower East Side, the ass end of Chinatown in New York. And we would walk uptown on Sunday mornings and go to this place. It was a bar, cafe, and there was a line out the door and around the block. And I said, I wonder what's going on in there. They're giving away Bloody Marys or something? It was like 11:30 in the morning. And I peek in, and I said, what the hell? And they said, this is a Ren and Stimpy watching party. Really? I mean, I had no idea. I had no idea that this was becoming a cultural phenomenon. And, they would serve Bloody Marys and freak out and watch the cartoon. All those people are now 50 years old. They gotta be. They gotta be. If they were in their 20s, oh, forget it.
We have a question over here.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't mean to cause kind of a pivot, but I'm just curious about something. Is the red M&M still unwary about the fact that Santa Claus is real, or is he over it by now?
I'll have to ask him. No, you know what? That commercial that you see every Christmas, that was done 3 decades ago. I did that 30 years ago. I know it doesn't seem like it, but, I remember the day I did it. And remember trying to explain to my wife, I came home and she said, have you seen this show, Oz, on HBO, the prison show? And I go, no, I haven't. Sit down. She said, watch this. Now look at this guy. Look at this mother... And I'm looking and she says, he's the worst guy in the prison, but he ain't no actor. He's the real deal, this guy. Real deal. And I look at him and I go... She said, what? I said, I know him. You do? Yeah, he's the yellow M&M. Yeah, JK Simmons. Yeah, he won an Oscar and he was working with me 2 days later. He's like a national treasure if you ask me. I knew it 30 years ago. I said, this guy, oh my God, this guy, wait till people get a load of him. And they did, and he stole the first Spider-Man movie as J. Jonah Jameson. He's incredible. There's nothing he can't do.
So, I'm sorry we have time for one more question.
Are you that busy?
Are you that busy? You have this
You have
table.
to leave?
I gotta pee, okay?
Oh, all right.
I came all the way here from New Jersey and right to this room and didn't stop to pee. So
you could have been like a cab driver and carried the little bottle next to you.
I'm not from New York. No, sorry.
Driving with your
all right,
knees
so
with your
quick bidding.
pants
Who'll
around
give
your
me
ankle.
$1 for the last question? Who'll give me 2, 3? Yeah. Actually, we'll give it to the Wizard.
Oh, okay, the Wizard again.
The Wizard gets the last question.
Okay.
The Wizard is truly wise.
This is the final question.
Yes.
Are you going to finish that croissant?
This conclude. That is all.
Give it up for Billy West.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow. Thank you.
Are you heading back to your table?
Yes. I don't know how much longer we have. How late is the show going?
I think 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'll be at that table if you want to come by and say hi.
So if you didn't get a chance to ask your question here, you can ask it at the table.
But it'll cost you.
I wasn't going to say that.
No, you know what? I'll talk. I talk to everybody. I love talking to people.
Well, again, thank you so much. Give it a nice round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is Kari Walgren, and you're watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like and subscribe. Plus, remember to have fun and follow your fandom.